Randall Hughes with God Glorified, and we're commenting on today's reading for July the 22nd. And we read from Isaiah chapter 14, chapter 14, 24, 25, 26, and 27. And there's several times in our reading today that we found the phrase, "in that day." Now, sometimes it's referring to some judgment that will be taking place probably in the future. Sometimes it's in the day that God judged during and soon after Isaiah with Babylon. And there's some of it's going to be against Egypt. Some of the judgments against Babylon. Some of it's against the king of Babylon. And so there's various ways that that is interpreted. Some think it's speaking of during the millennial reign or the tribulation or something along that line. And it could be, sometimes it could be a dual prophecy relating to both that end time as well as the time of Isaiah. And so some of it is Israel's kingdom being set up here in chapter 14, God returning to Israel and bringing judgment on Babylon, and how they will be brought down, and then the kingdom age of hope in the 24th chapter, how that God will return to Israel and the land and the gleaning and the harvest and the singing of the majesty of Yahweh. And earth broken down and clean, dissolved, the earth moved exceedingly. And whether this is pointing toward the day of the new heaven and the new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness, there be exalting the name of Yahweh for the wonderful things that he's done, his faithfulness and truth. And there's going to be, the mountain shall be, the Lord of hosts will make unto all people a feast. And it's once again the restoring of Israel. And in that day, once again, chapter 26 starts out in that day. 27 starts out in that day. And there's multiple times in chapter 27 that it says in that day. And in fact, that phrase is found 115 times in the King James in 112 verses. And of that 115 times, 43 of them are in Isaiah. Another 20 are in Zechariah, yes, not Zephaniah. And so 63 of 115 times, or out of the 112 verses, it's roughly 56% of them that are in Isaiah and Zechariah. And so many of the times it's referring to the millennial reign and the peace that will be there and the victory that Israel will have, and Christ reigning on earth and ruling, and the enemies being defeated and smitten. In chapter 27, it begins by talking about the punishment of Leviathan, which Leviathan is in some regards believed to have been some type of a sea serpent. Whether real or mythological, it's unknown. Certainly had a mythological element to it in that day, and it could be referencing some spiritual creature. Some think it may be Satan. Some think it may even be the Antichrist that it's being referred to here, in that we're in the time frame there around the millennial reign, and the tribulation will be right before that. And so the destruction of Leviathan, or the judgment of Satan, is certainly something that's going to come to pass during that time that we see about in Revelation chapter 20, Satan's final judgment in chapter 20 verse 10, and so when he's cast into the lake of fire. And so there you have the once again some things about the millennial, the restoration of Israel, some of the judgment and things that are happening around with the fall of Satan, final defeat of Satan, and also the enemies of Israel will become their servants. And so it's an interesting thing there that we see there. So God blessing, once again, when we do right, God blesses righteousness. And so we want to live right, we want to do right, and we want to be a part of that first resurrection in that millennial reign of Christ. And that's one of the hopes that we have to look forward to when we do what is right and obey God's word. So we challenge ourselves to live in accordance with God's word, live a repentant life, walk humbly with our God. God bless you.